multiple Penguins updates, including one last game against the greatest goalie in Penguins franchise history. We're playing the Minnesota Wild today, and Marc-Andre Fleury is expected to start in goal for the Wild. But first, we have to talk about the farm because players are impressing us down there, and then we can get to Marc-Andre Fleury playing against the Penguins one final time in his final NHL season, setting a ton of records. He is the greatest goalie in Penguins history. If anybody wants to argue on that, you probably shouldn't be watching this channel. I'll be completely honest. But before we get into the content of this video, you guys need to subscribe to the channel. Penguins Digest. 72% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel. So out of 100 of you watching these videos, 72 are not subscribed. That's crazy because this is the channel for the latest Pittsburgh Penguins updates, news, analysis, and any other content pertaining to your Pittsburgh Penguins. First, we have to talk about the Baby Pens because holy, they have been lighting the lamp lately. They lead the AHL in goals scored. They have scored 192 goals this season as a team. I'm going to show you the standings, the breakdown of that in the AHL standings, and then I'm going to show you the leading scorers on the team and dive in to one player in particular that has been a hidden gem. First, I want to show you guys this tweet that originally linked me to the standings to know that the Baby Penguins were number one in the entire AHL in scoring goals. They put up 8 goals last night and won the game, of course. With 8 goals, it's hard to lose, putting them at 192 goals on the season, which is the most in the entire American Hockey League, and I think that's something to be celebrated. Since Kyle Dubas took over, we have a ton of talent down there, and they are kicking you-know-what and taking names. So let's look at the standings. The Baby Pens are back, baby, and they're pushing for a playoff spot right now. If you look at the overall standings in the American Hockey League, the only team better than them, the defending champ, Hershey Bears in the Atlantic Division. So the Baby Pens are the real deal, and I'm excited to see some of these young players in the Penguins farm system get some playoff experience this year and play some meaningful games down there. So this is something that could really help the development of a lot of young players on that Wilkes-Barre roster. And if you look at how they've done it, and the breakdown of these scorers that are putting up 192 goals, of course, Emil Bemstrom's leading the way, and he's on the NHL team right now, keeps getting recalled whenever there's an empty spot because he has been unbelievable for the Baby Penguins this season. And then, of course, Ville Koivunen leading all rookies in the American Hockey League in points, and he is 3rd overall in the entire American Hockey League in points, 2nd on the Penguins in goals. And then you go down the list a little bit further. Avery Hayes has been exceptional this season. Under that, you see Sam Poulin, who has gotten a chance at the NHL level. Tristan Brose has been fantastic. Vasily Ponomarev has been fantastic. Rutger McGroarty starting to find his footing down there in Wilkes-Barre Scranton. And finally, Valtteri Puustinen. That guy is someone I want to talk about in this video today, because if you look at the 3 stars from the game last night when they scored 8 goals, Puustinen, McGroarty, and Mizkov are the stars of the game from that 8-goal outburst. And this is nothing new for Valtteri Puustinen. We got to talk about him. Puustinen has had a back-and-forth career with the actual Penguins, but with the Baby Penguins this year, he is really starting to find his groove and find a rhythm. He has been a very productive player, and I would say he's on a heater right now. I'm about to show you guys his stats over the last 5 games. It is almost hard to believe that Valtteri Puustinen is putting up these kind of numbers, but I think he deserves another crack at the NHL roster. This guy has been tearing it up. And I think, because he's one of the guys that actually does have NHL experience, him and Sam Poulin, Rutger McGroarty, I think he deserves another crack at it. I mean, he's dominating down there in the AHL. I would let him get some minutes here at the big club and then send him back down in time to help them win a Calder Cup. So, I mean, obviously the Penguins are going to be playing meaningful games later in the season towards the end here, but I think if he gets a couple more NHL games under his belt and then goes back down, that's no harm, no foul. So Valtteri Puustinen, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points, 16 shots, +3 rating in his last 5 games. That is called a heater, ladies and gentlemen. He has been on an absolute tear. If you look at his numbers at the NHL, nothing really too impressive, but that's the thing. Puustinen's a role player. He's not expected to be a first-line, second-line guy. In 10 games for the Pens this year, he's averaging under 10 minutes played. So if you're going to call him up and only play in 10 minutes, that's different. But I think with the amount of holes we have in our roster right now, I wouldn't mind putting him on the second line. I would put him on the second line. I would let Bemstrom and Puustinen get second line minutes next to Evgeni Malkin, and I would see what's happening. Because these guys, they're ready. They're ready, okay? Some of them. They have to get their legs under them in the NHL. They have not. They are dominating the AHL, but when they get up to the NHL, they don't look ready anymore. So you have to get the reps And what better time to do that when you're not playing meaningful games anymore? That's all I'm saying. I think to get up to NHL speed, you have to play NHL games. And Valtteri Puustinen has not shown the ability to play effectively at the NHL level. But as good as he's done in Wilkes-Barre, now's the time. Now's the chance to get him that kind of exposure. He got a 2-year extension back in 2024. So he is signed through next year, and then he's going to be a UFA. So Puustinen is still going to be part of this team next year. I think it makes the NHL roster next year. I think it's going to be hard for him not to make the NHL roster next year, especially if we don't bring in a ton of free agents. And I think Puustinen deserves to be. I really do. He has struggled when he has been on the NHL team, but what better time to test him out than when he's on a heater? I mean, the dude is so confident right now. He's playing his best hockey that he's played in a long time. I'll give him a crack at it. And he's one of those hidden gems in our farm system that's just lurking down there. You know, he was a 7th-round pick. He wasn't like this highly touted prospect or anything like that. He's been a hidden gem his entire career. He's been that under-the-radar guy as a 7th-round pick. I mean, you are under the radar if you're a 7th-round pick, right? So Puustinen, drafted by the Penguins, homegrown guy, has been tearing it up in Wilkes-Barre. It's time to give him another crack at it. That's my opinion. Now we're going to talk about the farm system because if you build it, they will come. Little Field of Dreams reference for you guys. If you build it, they will come, and that is what I am saying right now. The farm system is being built. This dynasty that is coming up is being built. We already had a dynasty. We had to take a little bit of a break. Let's retool. And then we have a dynasty again. Because the number of draft picks that Kyle Dubas has to work with over the next few seasons is enough to completely alter the course of a franchise. So right now is when we have to capitalize on having all these young players, having all these assets. The team that we have down there in Wilkes-Barre, if they all continue to get better, continue to mature, and get called up, like you're talking Koivunen, you're talking Puustinen, you're talking McGroarty, you're talking everybody down there, literally. Bemstrom is now getting an opportunity. Bros. I mean, there are so many studs down there that if they get up here to the NHL and they start being role players even, we're going to look pretty good in the next 3 seasons. I'm just saying. So draft these players. You get a couple of studs in the draft. We got Brunick coming up too, a guy I'm really excited about on defense. We got the veteran presence. We got the leaders. Having this many draft picks is not something we are used to. And I've heard a lot of arguments against why this is not a good strategy. This is a great strategy. Because I know you're not going to hit on every pick, Kyle Dubas. I'm not expecting you to. But if you can find a couple diamonds in the rough somewhere late rounds and then convert on your first, second, third round picks, more often than not, we're looking at a heck of a draft pool, okay? We're talking players that are actually talented instead of having to use 7th-round picks and having to develop them and get them to the NHL level. These guys are going to be already uber talented, and then we just have to let them cook, and we just have to give them ice time, whether it's juniors, whether it's college, whether it's Wilkes-Barre, wherever they got to go, they are going to continue to develop until they get to the NHL level. And we can be patient because of the level of guys that we have down there right now. And this farm team is killing it. So I would love to see these guys get some opportunities. And a couple of names were mentioned in this article, and that's why I'm using this article from Sports Illustrated. It talked about Owen Pickering, who's down there right now. Heck of a defenseman, going to be on the roster next year. Rutger McGroarty, I would argue that he should be on the NHL team next year. He's looking better and better as the season goes on. And then you're talking about guys like Koivunen, Ville Koivunen, Valtteri Puustinen. The list goes on, ladies and gentlemen. The draft picks are not guaranteed to be good players, but we already have a heck of a lot of good players. So now's the chance to swing that bat, take a risk, go for the home run, and see if we can hit some. Because this is our chance to bolster a farm system that is already very potent. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what we do with these draft picks. You're talking Tristan Bros. He was a great pick. You got Murashov, who's a great pickup. Ponomarev, who we traded for in the Jake Gensel deal. I mean, these guys are going to be absolute studs when they get to the NHL. I have no doubt about it. They are still very young, still developing. We have not seen the best of any of these guys, and that's the part that scares other teams. This Penguins team in the next few years, and you read the article right there, this group of youngsters, they're going to be a team to watch in years to come because they're already destroying down at the AHL level, and they're just going to continue to improve. They're going to continue to mold into the players that they will be at the NHL level, and we're going to get to watch that before our very eyes. I mean, this is going to be a very fun process of watching these youngsters turn into NHL players before our very eyes. And we talk about a guy that we watched blossom before our very eyes, the Flower, final time facing Flower, and that's going to be this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're about 30 minutes until puck drop. Minnesota Wild, Pittsburgh Penguins, Marc-Andre Fleury, the greatest goalie in Penguins history. I will forever be grateful for what Flower did for this team, for this franchise. Oh my gosh, was he the best. Watching Fleury was spectacular. I don't even know how to describe it because I might tear up talking about how much I loved watching that dude back in the day. Marc-Andre Fleury did so much for this team, and we get to watch him one more time, ladies and gentlemen. In his final season, he is up there in pretty much every category in NHL history among goaltenders because of his longevity, because of how good he has been, not just in his time in Pittsburgh. After he left Pittsburgh, he was still very good, and now even as a backup, he's doing great. I mean, Marc-Andre, this is the guy that should have been a Penguin for life, okay? I will never forgive management for what happened with that trade on draft day. Oh, my. He wasn't old. He wasn't old. It's like he was expired milk, and we're just trying to get him off the roster. I didn't understand that. I never will understand that. If someone could explain to me why in the first place we ever got rid of Flower, I mean, I'd have to do some digging to really remember that day. It's not a day I really want to remember all that much, but Marc-Andre Fleury, you got to have respect for him. No matter who you are, if you've ever watched the Penguins, especially during that era, that guy was unbelievable. So the Penguins facing the Wild Sunday afternoon bout in Minnesota. The Wild are unbelievable this year. They are a fantastic team at the top of the Western Conference. They've even been doing well without Kirill Kaprizov, who's their best player. So that's a team to watch out for as a potential Stanley Cup contender if they get Kaprizov back for the playoffs. Marc-Andre Fleury, first overall pick in 2003, spent 13 seasons with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we've seen him in other uniforms, right? We've seen him with the Blackhawks playing against the Penguins. We've seen him as Vegas Golden Knight. We've seen him as Minnesota Wild. I wish he would only wear one uniform, but that is the reality of this situation, and Kris Letang talked about that as well. He talked about this is a business. He knew when he got into this business, it's not guaranteed you're going to play your whole career with one team, and the fact that we can have Crosby, Malkin, and Letang for their entire careers, I think it's due diligence. I think it's justice. I think that's what they deserve for what they've done. Okay, so Penguins management needs to do their due diligence and make sure these guys do not play for another team, because you see what happened with Flower. He won a Vezina after he left Pittsburgh. He did not slow down after he left the Penguins. He played fantastic for Vegas. And so that's why I don't understand the whole getting rid of guys because of their age. I mean, you see games where Evgeni Malkin looks vintage. You see every game almost for Sidney Crosby. He shows up. So I would love to keep this core intact, and seeing Fleury out there in another uniform just keeps reminding me of that and how lucky we are that we had so many great players cross through this town. I mean, oh my gosh. Pittsburgh, we've had unbelievable players. And football, hockey, baseball, guys, we're blessed, and we just need to appreciate how blessed we are. But at the same time, it's hard to watch these tight games. I mean, watching Fleury, I love watching Fleury, but we play against him, it hurts. It really hurts. It brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories, and also a lot of bad about, letting him go. And it's unfortunate, but I hope he plays well. And for the Penguins draft pick's sake, maybe he gets a shutout. I wouldn't mind that at all. If Fleury shuts out the Penguins today, and you guys might be watching this video after the game's already happened because I'm recording it right before the Wild game because I'm going to go watch the game. If Fleury shuts out the Penguins, I told you so. It's all I'm saying. If he gets shelled, maybe I just jinxed him. I don't know. Either way, Penguins win, we win. Fleury wins, we also win. That's how I look at it. So it's always going to be weird when I play against them, is what Fleury said. Obviously, I like to win against them, but it's a little bit of bragging rights. They've been such great teammates and good friends. It's fun to cross paths. What a great guy. One of the greatest teammates ever. Him and Phil Kessel, man. Greatest teammates. Marc-Andre Fleury at 40 years old continues to impress, serving as a backup to Philip Gustafson. Hey, former Penguin draft pick. Imagine if we had Philip Gustafson right now, guys. Some good goalies. So it hurts. It hurts a little bit. But yeah, his 12-7-1 record and goals against average is the lowest it's been in the last 3 seasons. 2.74, 904 save percentage. I mean, he's playing at a high level. He's 40 years old. He's playing at a high level. So excellent running mate. Gustafson, former Penguins draft pick. Deep playoff run, hopefully. I love that Wild team, man. They're awesome. I would love to see Fleury at least get close in his final season. Kaprizov needs to get healthy. The Wild didn't add much at the deadline, but oh my, Bill Guerin. Love Bill Guerin, Penguins legend. So, guys, it's going to be fun. These games where we play against legacy Penguins like Marc-Andre Fleury, it hurts, but it's also like, hey, I want the guy to do well, and it's a win-win, because if we lose the game to Marc-Andre Fleury, I'm not going to be mad at all. I want Fleury to keep adding those stats, man. So, thank you guys for watching this video. Obviously, we have a lot to look forward to on the farm, and a lot to be disappointed about looking back on how we mishandled the Marc-Andre Fleury situation, quite frankly, guys. So, hopefully Fleury plays well today and the Penguins win. That would be, a double win, but I'm also okay with them shutting us out. That would be lit. So, hey, although you looked at the lineup we put out there against Vegas, I wouldn't be surprised if we get shut out again. So, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully the Penguins are playing right now when you're watching this, or you're watching this after. And again, if Fleury gets a shutout, I told you so. Thanks for watching Penguins Digest. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next episode.